The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. It's where we all begin. Welcome to Lazy Dog Typewriters.
The Princess and the Pea by Hans Christian Andersen is a fairy tale about a young woman whose royal identity is established by a test of her sensitivity. Sleeping on a pile of 20 feather beds, she is disturbed by the presence of a single pea. A fitting metaphor for this machine, since a single pea of kitty litter had lodged in the escapement, thereby preventing the machine from operating. Once removed, this princess proved her royal lineage, too. May all of your fairy tale dreams also come true.
Howdy, folks. Thanks for joining us at Lazy Dog Typewriters. We thought we'd shake things up a bit on a beautiful spring day and show you a princess of a typewriter. And what you see here before you is that self-same eponymous princess. It's made by Keller and Knappich, which you don't often hear that much, but it's Keller and Knappich, which is a little bit rubbed off here on the back of this princess. But most folks just call them princesses, which is appropriate. And as my cameraman here, Kevin, will show us, it's really beautiful from just about every angle. This princess was made in about 1952 or 1953, and it is a gorgeous cream-colored machine that has an integrated case, and that's why we have this laying around in the background. Let's go ahead and give you a shot of that, cameraman. Okay, so this is not a vinyl or a leather-like case. This is a real leather case. Back in the good old days, they used to make these, and it still has its original handle. Still has its little opening place. Pull that down. It does have somewhere, but there we go. We got a little storage compartment for carbons or whatever we want to use. And again, all that's leather. And if a cameraman can show this right here, I don't think we're giving away too much. We'll cover up the phone number at least. But that is the original owner, Herr Walter Bonisch. And his daughter was the woman who so graciously sold me this machine from eBay in Germany. So it has arrived just last night. I was up till about 1 in the morning cleaning it up because it certainly wasn't in great shape. But it is now, and we can take a look at it. So just showing you how the case works, because I'm kind of fascinated with it. Take that bush. Over here on this side, you'll see that the carriage return, and when we get it in the right place, I'm sorry to be dragging that. Let's put that over here. The carriage return, when you have it positioned properly, goes down and tucks in on the side of the machine. It's pretty nifty, and that kind of acts as a carriage lock over on this side. And since we're talking about the controls, let's go ahead and go over them. So, as we mentioned, the carriage return arm, this little lever here, which doesn't pull out to release your rollers or freewheel the platen. It just simply serves as a lock for that carriage return. There's your line selector, if you can show that. You zoomed in there, cameraman? Yeah. So here's your line selector, 1, 2, and 3. Here is your this is your freewheeling lever, so now we're freewheeling without ratcheting. Back to ratcheting. Of course, your standard margin set here, just by pressing and sliding, pressing and sliding. This is your bell ringer, and I'm going to point that out because it's got a pretty nice bell, but I have the Princess 300 and 200 also, which we will make some comparison to briefly. And then it's interesting because in this early version, the 1948 through 1953 approximately version, the bell ringer is completely different. And because I know that because on 2 or 3 of the princesses I've had shipped to me from Germany have been smashed in transit, and it's been a real tragic story about the bell ringer itself is wedged in between 2 rails, and in transit they get popped out, and it's almost impossible to replace that. So I was overjoyed to see, one, that this bell ringer still was working fine, and also that it was a different design, and I think that helped ensure its survivability in the transatlantic journey. All right, anyway, it's got a really neat compact case. You can see back here that the draw string is protruding, and the mainspring, you don't see that all that often, that the actual draw string mainspring housing here is so tightly packed that it actually extends out from the carriage, and it's kind of nifty. See that, Kevin? All right, thanks. So continuing on around here on the sides, the carriage platen knob is got a little bit of crack. Not much we can do about that. It's still very solid and good shape, but it has a visual cosmetic blemish. You have your paper bail here. Nice. You've got 2 fingers on either side. You've got a ruler, of course, on that side. this is your, lift this lever up and you release the tension on the paper feed rollers to adjust your paper. And then your one and only carriage release lever is here on the right hand side. So a pretty lightweight carriage shifted machine, as we can see, as almost all of these ultra portables are, almost by necessity. So then we have our keycaps. Now let's take a closer look at the Princess over here. Kevin, can we zoom in on this keyboard, maybe from a little bit above? Perfect. All right, one of the first things you're going to see is, hey, that is not a standard American layout, and that is correct. As we talked about in some of our Contessa and our Tessie videos, this is a German layout. Most of the Princesses, by my understanding, were intended for the German market, so they're very rare to get them for the U.S. market, and we reached out to Germany to find this one. So you have the Quart Z layout. Of course, it's a little different even than the one we showed you last time. In fact, it has an equals and a semicolon on the left, where the 1 would normally be, right? So sometimes they have a 1 and a semicolon on top of each other, but apparently back before the 1 was standard, either in the US or Germany, they had an equals colon here. We've got that traditional legal mark, we've got a colon over an esset, an accent mark and an E with an accent mark. I don't know what that is, a caret and another called a circumflex. You've got your umlauted U, umlauted A, umlauted O, and your backspace is over here on the right. Again, some machines have it on the left, some have it on the right, some have it higher or lower. It's always good to know where it is. Our margin release is here on the left, and our apostrophe underline is here, and our exclamation mark period is here, and our question and our comma is here. So that's like every character in the alphabet almost. I spared you the letters, but the point is you can pretty much do anything. You're not handicapped with a German layout. It's simply just a little bit different. It takes just a second to get used to the Y and the Z being reversed. Alright, I mentioned at the beginning that I had spent quite a bit of time working well past midnight when I got this machine, cleaning it up. And I'm really pretty pleased with it. She's a really pretty princess. But one of the funniest things about it, as you can see, there's a little bit of some kind of a little dot over here, right here in the logo. And I'll try to zoom in and capture that for you, if I can. Alright, so you see that little, I think it might even be more appropriate to put it inside the P, right? So that little P right there, as near as I can tell, is a piece of kitty litter or something very similar. And for some reason, Claudia, when she shipped it to me, shipped it in a bag that contained just enough kitty litter to get into the escapement of the machine. So when this machine first arrived, I was somewhat disappointed to find that the escapement would not catch. It was just sliding all over the place, and I could not figure out why. So, of course, I completely disassembled the machine. I went through all my troubleshooting tips, and I just was so flummoxed about what was going on until I saw with my little headlamp that there was a tiny P inside the escapement of the typewriter. And I cannot think of a better analogy than the Hans Christian Andersen story about the Princess and the Pea. And if you haven't heard that or heard it in 20 years, 30 years, it's about this woman who, in order to prove that she was a princess, the prince made her sleep on top of 20 stacked mattresses and feather beds and whatnot. And they stuck a pea inside in the bottom of those mattresses. And to find out, because surely a princess was so sensitive that she would be disturbed by the presence of a pea. And lo and behold, we have proved the royal lineage of this princess, because with this P inside of her, she absolutely would not work. So that to me is always going to make this a special machine. I have no idea why it had a P or where it came from, but it did, and we were able to fix it. So I kind of tongue-in-cheek talked about royal lineage. One of the machines this would compare to would, of course, be the Royal Royalite. They're similar in size, but the Princess is a little flatter, I would say, and a little more robust. This was the earlier variant. It's later on became the Princess 100, and then the Princess 200 and the Princess 300 as it added features. So going over the features that we lack in this machine, we don't have any tabs, and we don't, of course, have a dedicated one. We've covered that. We don't have a ribbon color selector switch, so you're stuck with using a single color ribbon. None of that is different, and it's all very common to the Royalite as well, which was a contemporary of the Princess. So, how do you get the lid open? Kevin, hold the P for me, will you? Let's not lose that. All right, so what you do is you pull down on these two chromed levers here. They're a little tight, hard to do with one hand. So you pull down with your fingernail, pop them up, and la-la. We have our Interior. Okay, so we talked about it as carriage shift, very straightforward, simple mechanism. Now, one of the things, if you can read German or get your Google Translate on, pretty much what this is telling you is, hey, when you're changing the Farbahn, the ribbon, make sure that you only use ribbons that have eyelets, and make sure that you're using Underwood standards ribbon spools. Now, that's kind of an unusual thing to find in a German-made typewriter for a German market. But look very carefully. You may not be able to tell just by seeing it, but these spools, these are standard U.S. Underwood spools. They're not the Den 2103 size spools. And I'm kind of blown away. It's a small thing, but I'm blown away that this German typewriter in the 50s would require the use of U.S.-made, U.S.-sized anyway, ribbons. I don't know how common that was, but I think it was fairly unusual. Now, these, just to show these mechanisms here, are spring-loaded, and they hold the ribbon cover in place. The ribbon cover for cleaning can be completely pulled out. It's a little difficult. We did that last night, and you can see there's still some splatter. I'm always of two minds about whether I'm going to clean that stuff up, because it's like, to me, it's kind of like polishing the bottom of your tires, you know? It looks pretty, I guess, if you're doing a Detroit auto show or something, but it's really kind of pointless, because just as soon as you start typing again, you're going to get a little bit of overspray of ink. So if you can't see it, and it's not really functional or relevant, I generally don't kill myself cleaning it. All right, so then you just put that back down and go about your business. So we didn't clean up all the splatter that was under the ribbon cover, so forgive us for that. Give us a critique, if you will. But we did do something more important, and that is we cleaned up the leather. And this leather, raise up for you, this leather was in really sad shape. It was completely dry and worn out. Now I'd say it's not completely dry and worn out. It has character. It's a little discolored, but I used some really nice leather cleaner and some leather conditioner. And the other thing that I did was I replaced these rubber feet. Now, the rubber feet that were on this case were okay. They were hard as rocks, though. So they weren't crumbling or anything, but they were in poor condition. And since this case is really an integral component of the typewriter, it's not really meant to be used outside of this case. I wanted to invest in some really nice, soft, grippy feet, and it's just so, I don't know, it just makes me so happy when you can easily have spare parts replacements. These are from Ace Hardware, if you're hunting for some, and they work great. They are super grippy, and it gives the machine a very stable base. Okay, I'm going to take it off the Lazy Susan, which I sometimes forget to do, and then we'll give it a typing test and see how it types. Princess and the Pea by Hans Christian Andersen. Okay, so that was your typing test. Probably one of my better ones, because Kevin, our cameraman, has helped me out and let me actually type instead of reaching out 2 feet across the camera to type. So I'm not quite as terrible a typer as I've been seeming, but I'm still not very good. All right, has a very it has an okay touch. I'd say it's better than the Royalite, but it is definitely a portable machine. It doesn't have the heavy, responsive feel of a larger portable, so it's definitely an ultra portable, but it's very good. I think that the the typeface is it looks like it's 11 points perhaps. It's somewhere in between a Pica and Elite. Very clear, very sharp, very legible. Just a nice machine. But it is an ultra portable, so you do give up some of the touch, the typing touch. Let's talk about some pros and cons. You got those in focus there, Mr. Cameraman?
Yes.
All right, let's zoom in a little bit better. I'm going to help you out, buddy. All right, so pros of this 1952. What's the first pro, Kevin?
Cool German lineage.
Lineage, yes, that's a tough word for us plebeians to say. But it's a very aristocratic machine. It's named a princess, of course. It's really pretty. I mean, the quality just does shine through. And I'm a fan of Royalites, don't get me wrong. I like them. But the quality of the Keller and Knappich machine and the paint job and the materials and sort of the heavy, robust feel of the carriage really is noticeable. And it's neat that it was made by such a neat manufacturer for such a limited period of time. All right, so I mentioned the wonderful creamy paint. They did come in a variety of colors. I kind of really like the single-tone, monotone cream, but I have one coming. The little secret out, it is got a blue or green, which I think is more rare, and there's also some I've seen with the blue, which are beautiful as well. Okay, so obvious aristocratic quality. It's lightweight, it's a portable, just a really nice machine to take around. Now, I also don't want to underestimate the case. I really like the case. And for a portable, ultra portable, it's probably not intended to be thrown in a bush, but it works. It's just such a great, nice, that feeling, that smell of leather, that really adds to the ambiance. And of course, you guys can't really take a whiff of that leather cleaner, but trust me, it's there. All right, cons. Well, if you're not a German speaker, and having a non-standard keyboard could be a QWERTZ problem. If you are really hating the fact that the Y and the Z are reversed, then this is probably not the machine for you. You better go find one, hunting high and low, as it were, until you find one that is in QWERTY layout. Also, what else? What's another con, Kevin?
It has no tabs, no bicolor ribbons, and limited feature set.
Yeah, so it's an ultra portable, so it's kind of almost by definition you don't have everything you would have in a standard or a portable machine. But I don't really miss too much the fact that it only has a single color ribbon. It's pretty easy. I don't actually even change color that much, but that is definitely. And the tab I can live without too much. So overall, and I did. It's kind of a pro, I would suppose. It's a pro to us that we can use those Underwood ribbons. Underwood standard, the standard universal ribbons on this. I think that's just really neat. I'd love to hear from anyone else who knows of any German-made, German-market machines that use the U.S. standard ribbons. I'd love to find out. That's a great trivia question. If anybody knows the answer to that question. So that's your challenge for watching this video. In any case, we hope you've enjoyed this new format. It's just such a beautiful day out here as we're trying to focus on things that make us happy in our backyard and a beautiful day here in Texas. And this beautiful typewriter, which we thought was smashed and destroyed. We've had such bad luck with our princesses, and finally we get the right princess. We find the P underneath the mattress, and it turns out to be a glorious, glorious machine. Have a great day.
Please like, subscribe, and comment. Oh, also, don't forget, share us to everybody so we can get more subscribers, because we really need them.